habits, questions, quality key questions, and burnout. Let's talk about all three. I posted something to Facebook today to 150,000 people. This was the exact thing I posted. Let me zoom in for you. And look, it's specific to real estate here, but this can apply to everything. It says the most practical real estate skill you can learn is to show up for yourself when you don't want to. Now, the point of that is to create habits so that you're training your mind, you're training your body, you're training everything around you to be able to respond when you don't want to respond. It's like working out. They tell you just to show up. Now, here's the thing though. You go into one of the first comments, and it's a great comment, by the way. Kimber Fox, if you're listening, great comment. And she says, when you're feeling burnt out, it's okay to not do any of these things. You're human with real ass emotions that sometimes need a break. Stepping back and setting new boundaries for yourself and work will help sustain you in the long run, not continuing to push through. And look, that is very, very true. By the way, I'm in Hawaii, so you notice a different background. I'm at the Alani, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm here for an event. I'm speaking tomorrow. But we go into this, and I want to go deeper. I'm not saying don't take time for yourself, because one of the biggest things that we deal with as entrepreneurs, business owners, is burnout. And so when I'm talking about this and I'm saying, hey, don't skip the open house this week. Instead, do an extra one. When you want to skip calling your past clients, call for an extra hour. When you're just too tired to door knock this week, pump yourself up and show up. When you think social media is too complicated for you, post something fun or share someone's post. The point is, we need to start showing up more often, because a lot of the times I'm looking at the challenges that a lot of you are facing right now. And it's like, I can't find business here. I can't find business there. And yet we're blaming burnout. Burnout is a lot deeper than this. It reminds me of Mike Evans. Okay, who here has heard of GrubHub, right? Give me some hands. GrubHub, right? DoorDash, GrubHub. I interviewed Mike Evans. He created GrubHub. It's the first app of its kind, right? DoorDash copied them. Mike Evans says, hey, look, the one thing we don't talk about when it comes to burnout is quitting. Maybe this isn't for you, right? Maybe this business, whatever you're in, you need to quit. So let's start thinking of some realities here. When we're looking at any type of business, there is going to come a point in your life when you're like, hey, should I just quit? And it's okay to quit. It's okay to go outside and do something else if this doesn't fit. But don't match it with burnout. Burnout is something completely different. Burnout comes back to you. It's your fault that you don't know how to structure your day so you don't burn out. A lot of the times we're never taught, hey, this time is off limits. This is why I want you to wait for the questions. The questions are so key to this, right? And that's how I'm going to end it. But we're talking about burnout. We're talking about feeling the things we had love for are no longer, that feeling is no longer there. It's like, oh, I have to go do that again, right? And now the things that you loved, you don't want to do. That's because it's not about balance. It's not about going through and saying, hey, life, balance, work. It's nothing like that. We've talked about this before, and I'm telling you, it's like a harmony, right? Think of the greatest musical piece. Let's think Bach, let's think Mozart, Beethoven. You don't have all the instruments playing at the same time. You have them come in at their due time, and together it makes a beautiful harmony, right? And so in the same thing with your life, you're not working all out and going with your family all out and when taking care of yourself all out, all at the same time for the exact same amount of time every day. It looks different, right? And that requires you to bust out your schedule, bust out something to write with, bust out a digital calendar and say, this is what it's going to look like for me. I know that this week I'm going to bust my ass off and work. Next week, I'm going to bust my ass off and work on myself more than the normal. And every day I take care of my family here and there a little bit. Because some things, no matter what, you have to take care of daily. You have to show up for yourself daily, for your family daily, for those that are around you, friends, family, whatever that looks like. So it looks different every day. But when you read something like this and it triggers you, right? Don't skip the open house this week. When you want to skip calling your past clients, call for an extra hour. I'm telling you how to succeed to the next level. So burnout is on you. You need to take care of yourself more, because the moment you start looking at things like, oh, you know what? No, that's not right. That's not. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how to succeed, right? And look, let me show you now some of the questions. We went over this last week. You can go below on YouTube or my Facebook page or anywhere you want. We went through the top portion. What we didn't go over are the questions. And I want to go over the questions because this kind of sets the tone at the end of the day for you. Questions are extremely important. You ask better questions, you lead a better life, right? All these high achievers I've asked about how is it that you come up with these great questions. They give themselves time to think, and then they ask questions, and then they answer them, and then things come up from that they love. Are you pleased with the way you lived your life today? That's the first question I ask in the evening. Are you pleased with the way you lived your life today? Because for every single one of us, it's going to be different. You're going to visualize what that looks like. Well, let's see, for me, if I think that first thing, I'm like, well, did I spend enough time with my kids? Did I spend enough time with my wife? Right? Did I engage with them well? That's the first thing that comes to mind for me. And then second is business. Did I achieve the things that I wanted to achieve today? That one thing that made everything easier? Right? Yes, no. And then you have to answer why, because now you start looking at reality. Once you start answering why, whether you succeeded on this day, you start understanding yourself a lot better. You're like, well, why? And then you start realizing what's actually important in your life. You're like, oh, yeah, I see. No, my day wasn't that great. And then you're like, why? Well, I didn't get enough time to spend with my spouse. And then you go back and you look at these answers throughout the week, throughout the month, and you're like, wow, I didn't understand how important this piece was to my life, right? Now you go deeper. And then you start understanding what you need to prioritize. We don't do that enough. Next, check this question out. The one with the little brain. It says, what's one situation I handled well today, and what did I learn from it? So now I'm having you go back and say, hey, what's something you did well today? Was it an encounter? Was it a phone call? What was it? What was it, the way you talked to somebody? Did you actually decide to work out? Did you take some time off and that's what you wanted to do, right? I'm going towards a positive direction with these questions, because the question that I'm about to ask next is pretty tough and it gets real here. So here's the next question at the top. It says, were any of my actions, me, right, guided by any strong emotions? Anger, hate, sadness, selfishness, pride, envy. When I look at that, and that's a really hard question to answer internally, because now I'm looking at, well, geez, yeah, I look back, I probably could have treated somebody nicer. I probably shouldn't have raised my voice there. I probably should have responded different to that email or text. I probably could have done a lot of things a lot better. The point is I'm making myself aware so I can become a better human being, and I understand what becomes a priority, right? All these other times when I don't understand what's a priority in my life, what happens? We're so reactive to everything that's happening. By the end of the day, we feel burnt out. When you read something like that I posted, you're like, oh, no, not me. I can't know. That's how you start failing. I want you to succeed. I want you to do the opposite of what I'm seeing happen, right? And next, the question is, were any of my actions guided by any powerful emotions? Now I'm reversing it. I'm saying happiness, kindness, gratefulness, selflessness, right? And that's where I want you to start thinking deeper. I'm like, okay, let's go the good way. Were any of these times where you actually treated somebody kind? Because I want you to also take note of that. I want you to repeat those things, right? Now, next one, let's go down. Was I a good example to those around me today? Right in the middle, it's in that blue highlighted area. Nobody asks you this question. You need to ask yourself these questions again. As a kid, I mean, maybe you thought it, maybe you didn't. I know my mom, my grandma always said, hey, were you a good example today? Were you good to those people around you today? I want you to start asking yourself those questions, because, again, we prioritize the important things in our life. And that's other people, the relationships, taking care of yourself, right? And when you do that, then you show up for work better. Now, last two questions here. Was I aware of other people's emotions today? We're certainly aware of our emotions, right? We always see opinions everywhere, left and right. Somebody's feelings got hurt, or this or that, anger, sadness. I want you now to think, was I aware of other people's emotions today? How did they respond to me? Did I say something wrong? It goes back to you, right? And some of us don't even ask these questions. This is what I want you to start asking on a daily basis. You become more aware. And then lastly, did I maintain a high level of energy today? And what can I learn from that? All of a sudden, you start understanding that you need to prioritize yourself, right? What does it look like if you're not feeling great? Do you need to work out more? Do you need to eat better? Do you need to walk? Do you need to take time emotionally for yourself? If you don't ask yourself questions, you won't get to know who you've grown into, and you won't get to recognize your potential for the near future. So look, whatever you're going through right now, I want you to focus on habits, because your beliefs right now dictate your behavior, right? And that's in essence the habits that we have. I want you to show up better. I want you, when you read something like this on Facebook where I'm challenging you, let me go back to Facebook. When I'm challenging you and I'm saying, hey, you're not doing enough, I don't want it to trigger you. I want it to motivate you, because your mindset's right on point. I want you to be like, I understand I need to do more. I understand I need to show up more, not only for myself, but for the people around me. But if you're feeling burnt out, you need to prioritize you. Let's figure this out. Ask better questions. Use a schedule. Take time to identify what it is that you need to do on a daily basis to center yourself. And then you start showing up better for other people. Have an awesome day. I'll see you tomorrow.